had the opportunity to read a first time author, not a first time, a new to me author, Miss O'Shan Waters. Lady, I read, is it, okay, hold on, because I'm in the middle of it and I'm like enthralled because I'm trying to figure out what's getting ready to happen. Um, I'm reading, is it French?
Making French chocolate.
Making French chocolate. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So this story, Miss O'Shan Waters, welcome to the newly branded Booked and Busy podcast.
Thank you for having me.
So I'm reading about a French man and this American woman kind of falling in love with each other.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not trying to give away too much because I think that people should read it. But you gave a lot of history as to why her family thinks the way that they do and why
Mm-hmm.
she is the way that she is. And it wasn't always pretty.
Mm-hmm. That is correct.
Why tell this story?
This particular story?
Yes.
In the dedication and as I was writing it, it was really to focus on a story that is not often told in romance, as far as two people that do not have an instant physical attraction. Mm-hmm. The attraction is not even close to that. The attraction is intellectual, and it's not an instant kind of connection. It's not necessarily enemies to lovers, but it's not an instant kind of connection that you might find in most romance. And it was really a dedication to my grandparents mm-hmm. and their love story, even though it's not them, but it was really speaking in behalf of a lot of my own family history and things that in my family line from Louisiana that I knew about. And so I wanted to tell a fictional story based on some facts that really was more holistic and opened the minds to other cultures, as well as some of the idiosyncrasies about family and some of the challenges that individuals go through. And as a Black woman, I wanted to really focus on her story more than his, even though his is in there and it's important. But some of the dynamics that you'll find out don't always end up the way that they should or the way that we might think, just because we're all biased in some way. And so,
but it's interesting that most of the bias is with the Black people.
Yeah.
Thank you, Ariel. It's with the Black people, and to be quite honest, they really do have reason to be upset mm-hmm. and have these notions. But I think it okay, because we're gonna talk about
just
this
a
little
bit. Just say it. Just say it, girl. Just say it.
So
say it.
Is no, because we got brands to protect, so I don't want to be canceled before we get
Oh, okay. We can talk offline then.
No. I think I can word it in a way that it doesn't hurt so bad. Mm-hmm. Is it because men from other countries are a little bit more tender than American palm-colored men?
Not necessarily, no. No, not necessarily, no. And it wasn't necessarily to stereotype individuals either. It was a story about two people and their families specifically. So I know that in America, we all, again, everybody has, preferences and biases and all that fun stuff. But I wanted to tell a very specific story about two people and not stereotype it into, why all Black people don't like interracial relationships or white people or what, because it was specific to their story. And that story, had bits and pieces of my own family history in it. And some of the interactions and things from the Caucasian French side is also from some, factual pieces that I know or that impacted my family as well. So even though these are fictional characters and this is a fictional story, it really had a lot of elements of realism in it that connected the dots for me. So I wasn't necessarily making a political statement or a statement about, it was really just looking at these two individuals and where they came from and why they were the way they were and how those individuals can still find each other unexpectedly. Part of where you are in the story, I'm not quite sure, but it is the only one of all of my books that is a true just romance, which has that, happy ever after kind of at the end or whatever, because it's a love story between the two. But how they got there is the journey that you should be taking, and that it's not like I said, it's not a usual story about an interracial romance. I mean, I didn't necessarily set out to say, oh, I wanted him to be white. No, I wanted him to have those characteristics of my great grandfather. So that's what I wanted him to have. And so that's what he has. And a lot of his upbringing and whatnot is important based on how he interacts with her. And again, in her mind, I don't know where you are in the story, but in her mind, she is never even looking at this person as a mate for herself.
Right.
This is a venture of knowledge for her. And this is a once in a lifetime kind of way for her to really get something that she's searching for in regards to learning about French culture and French history and French politics and the French government and all of these wonderful things that she is enamored with, from being from a Creole family or from New Orleans, not necessarily a Creole family, but from New Orleans. So it was really important to me to kind of really shed the light from a Black perspective, because I'm a Black woman, but really how some of those idiosyncrasies or some of her cautions, where they come about, without really going into other details, because that's in another book. So,
okay. I've read a few. I'm not going to say I'm an expert in multicultural romance books or interracial romance, or I'm not going to say I'm an expert, because I do like them. I'm a big fan of Janelle, who's an author here, but I like a good mafia. I like a good fight scene. So that's me. But what I do love when I read a good IR book is the care in which the male main character has for the Black female main character. And you can tell it here, because this man flew across the country to make sure she was okay without saying anything more than that. He flew from, he was in France, but then went to DC or something, because I'm right at the part that he was returning back to do a speech.
Okay. Virginia, yeah.
Yes. So that's where I'm at. But the care in which he said, I just want to make sure you're okay. She has this nightmare, and he's like, okay, something more is going on here, and I really care about this lady. And him trying to maneuver in a way where she's not uncomfortable. I think that sometimes when you read books outside of a Black author, they don't show that care as much. They kind of, from what I've read, and I'm not saying it's all authors, so please don't take that as it's all authors. But I've read a few books where the care is not there, and she cares for him as well. It's not like she's treating him like shit. It's nothing like that. It's more so the care. So I appreciate you for writing this, and it did give me a little bit of a different perspective on their relationship.
Good. Someone had said to me once, that the style in which I storytell or the things that I'm writing, there's always some factual things in there, but it really challenges a reader in some ways to look at other perspectives. And so, as you're going through this journey with these two individuals who don't really even realize that they're in love with each other, which is the cool part to me. It before, as the reader, before they do, because again, they're just kind of walking through this journey. But again, based on how they interact with each other, you can see and feel the realism of the love. And it's again, I'm not taking anything from any other authors or any other journals or things that are out there, but in the way in which I write stories, there has to be a build. I mean, there's no such thing in my world of instantaneous love for sight. No, it doesn't work that way. There has to be foundation of substance to grow. That's how friendships are. That's how relationships, romantic relationships are. That's just how it is in my world. So that's what I write about. And a lot of people don't necessarily want to read about that. They want something quick and easy and fast and get in there and get dirty and all that. But that's not my style at all. So, it takes an open mind to really kind of pause and stop and kind of really take the journey as it's meant to be. And I hope, individuals do that, because I think my stories are awesome.
I was listening to Samuel L. Jackson. I saw a snippet on TikTok. He said that he's an avid reader and why he loves to read. And sometimes, instead of being in the reality of the foolishness that's going on now, why not go to somebody else's reality or realm of work and just lose yourself in that. And I know everybody has their preferences, but sometimes I think we as readers do ourselves a disservice having a closed mind on certain books that you read, because you can gain a lot through words on the page, and sometimes we miss the point. It doesn't always have to be a wham bam thank you man, but it's fun. I like it, don't get me wrong. But I also love a great story. I like to be lost in the words of someone else's story and how they navigated through their conflict in order to at least try and get that happy ending, even if it's not a happy ending.
Right.
So I'm just saying, readers, open up your minds just a bit. Just a bit. Okay, so let's get into some of these authors. Okay. Oh, no. So how about we do this, because you're still a new to me author. Why don't you tell us, give us a little bit of intro about some of your other works?
Making French Chocolate. This book here. Is my second book. It's a prequel love story, and it's the second book in the Moments collection. And the Moments collection is a collection. It's 4 novels. The first one is Moments with You. That's the first book that I've ever written and published. I've been writing for most of my life, short stories, poetry, all of those fun things. But I never published anything, just because it was my own writing until I gave the manuscript during COVID. I wrote Moments with You in about 3-4 months, just because we were all on lockdown. And it actually stemmed from a poem that I had written previously. And I gave it to a couple of African-American indie authors. One is since retired, the other one is not. But I just said, hey, and I had read their work, so I trusted them. And I said, hey, do you mind? Do you have time? And they were very, very kind and mentoring me and reading them. They're like, girl, you better copyright this and publish this. It's a lot of words, but you better do it, because I never read anything quite like this. This is amazing. And I was like, really? Wow. So I was really just encouraged by those two ladies, Sharima Carver and Pepper Pace, to just do it. And I had to learn a lot. I didn't necessarily, they taught me quite a bit, but I had to learn a lot of kind of on my own. And I published that. And as I was editing and whatnot, this story, even though it was drafted, just because sometimes in my world, it's just I just throw it on the canvas. It's just spaghetti. So as I was writing the end of Moments with You, I was writing the story of Marie's parents, which is this story, and then the backstory, which is the third book, which is Moments in Time, was more of a bonus, more of the history of uh, Teens and Delphine's family, maybe that Black history piece. I did that more as a bonus piece, just more researching some of my own family things and whatnot, and doing that. So it goes all the way back from Africa, and then enslavement, and then into Jim Crow, and then moving forward to the future. And then the last book is bringing you back to Marie from the first book, at the end of the first book. So those are my moments collection. Moments in Time, excuse me, Moments with You and Moments of Reset are the first and the fourth book. And those two are like special order. They don't necessarily, they're not available to the public. So just kind of readily available. Moments, Making Fresh Chocolate and Moments in Time are, but, they're special order just because they're limited in print and not available in ebook. So, and then this year I actually published my last series, which is The Splendor of Us, Lotus and Bird, and The Splendor of Us, Reminiscent of Water. So that's a duet, more personal in the sense of, again, that same theme of realism, real elements into a fiction form. So I've written 6 books. Like I said, I started in 2022, so I'm relatively newer, but Moments in Time has won multiple awards. Well, all of them have won awards except for the Splendor series thus far. So I'm very, very proud of that. Winning acknowledgments from contests and individuals, and reading, editors and things like that have acknowledged my work as exceptional. So I'm very pleased with that.
Okay, so how much research went into this project? Because it's very specific in certain things. I was like, I know that. You talked about the Bayou Classic. I am a Gremlinite. I caught
Wow.
that. So you know I for real read it. You wouldn't know had you not read it. I'm a Gremlinite. You talked about, the feelings of, I guess somebody went to Tulane. I can't remember that character's name, but Tulane, Xavier. My niece goes to Xavier.
Wow.
So it's wonderful to see that our history is being woven into books and accurately. So how much research did you have to do
For this particular book? Not a lot, just because, just the timing of things. I needed to make sure they lined up. But like I said, it's a lot from my own family history. I'm not necessarily from there, but my grandparents are from there. They're from Franklinton. I have relatives that live in New Orleans and Fayetteville. So I double check some stuff a little bit, but it wasn't a lot of like in-depth research to make sure that things kind of, I think the most research I had to do was about the World's Fair. That was probably the biggest one that I had to make sure it aligned as to the feeling. So I had to kind of just interview a couple of relatives and some folks about, well, how do you guys feel about what was happening when that was going on? So not a great deal. I did more research on Moments in Time, obviously just because it goes back so far, but not a lot. One of my cousins, she's older than I am, but I'm safe to say this. She, I write the way it sounds, not necessarily the way it should be spelled. And she didn't, and that might just be my error, but she didn't necessarily like that. She said, "Why do you have us sounding so slavey?" And I was just like, "Well, that's how y'all talk."
Well, that's how you talk.
I said, "That's how y'all talk." So she didn't like, she was mad at me, but again, that's how it sounds to me.
But that's how they talk.
I know.
Not everybody.
Right.
Not everybody, but if you're down, okay, so my people are from Louisiana and Arkansas.
Okay.
That's how they talk.
I know. I know.
And you
But
be like,
it's difficult to read just because just because that's not it's challenging to read. So once you kind of get used to it in this particular book, then you understand. But I was again hearing the way that they sound, and so I wrote it that way. But yeah, she's
but if you're from New Orleans, which my people are from northern Louisiana.
mm-hmm.
They have a particular uh, accent
Mm-hmm.
that's unlike anybody else.
Undeniable. That's right. That's
You
right. So
know,
I tried to do it the best I could. I mean, I'm not like I said, I'm not I don't I visited there a lot and whatnot, but I'm not from there, and I tried to represent them the best that I could in a respectful way. But yeah, that was a side comment. She didn't
and
like
then
that.
you have to realize art is subjective.
Yes. Yeah. She said, I'm gonna tell everybody this is a white lady, and I was like, okay. Tell everybody it's a white lady.
Speaking of the white lady, can we talk about Kendrick for a minute?
Sure.
What in the hell?
What do you mean?
Okay, spoiler alert, because it's at the beginning of the book. So, spoiler.
Yes.
So, we give you a little something. So he's a child of, and I can't say that word, grape. I'm gonna say grape. He's a
Okay.
child of grape, and his father is obviously prom color,
Mm-hmm.
and his mother died,
Mm-hmm.
and he took on this persona that because he was very fair,
Mm-hmm.
that he was, and his father was palm colored, that he was the same.
Mm-hmm.
Not given the fact that these black people raised him
Mm-hmm.
and cared for him and loved him, and then he
Mm-hmm.
did them to them babies. What the hell was that? I mean, I know, I get it, but that was crazy.
Mm-hmm. Yes, it was.
Is that
Yeah.
fact or fiction?
I'm not at liberty to say,
Okay.
but
Okay.
that's some deep stuff.
That listen, when I tell you my mouth was floored, I was like, oh, he didn't have to do them babies like that. He didn't have
You
to do them
know,
babies like that.
and I think too, in recognizing the time period is important. Early in the book, you're kind of giving the foundation of the 40s and the 50s, and a little bit of build into that before you get into the 80s when you're dealing with Delphine in college. So the time period of that transition in the 70s, there's a lot of hallucinogenics and things happening, going on, and he did have that issue. So, I think that's important, but again, it was necessary, and I think, a couple of people had, asked to read this book, and or they, wanted to read the book, and they got to there, and they were like, yeah, I can't. I was like, oh, I appreciate you trying, but the point is there's a reason why people act the way they do, or they have their behaviors or their perceptions. There's a reason. And to me, it's important to understand human behavior and understanding why, whether I agree with it or not, why, I had to have, like I said, the buildup of where that came from. Does she have this standoffish kind of, I'm just focused on being a doctor. I'm not, and her twin sister is a hot mess, and not hot mess in a bad way. She's just a young girl that's flirty and cute, but whatever. But she's the opposite of that. Well, why? And not telling the story as to why is where I think is some of my, that's where I am different, I think, because I think it's important to tell the why. Again, there's that challenging people's perspective. So all of that because you don't necessarily start off a romance.
No, you don't.
With that kind of stuff happening, but it was necessary.
It's the fact of how it's the way she is, the way she is.
Yes, and the way that her family is. I mean, there's a lot of things that talks about, holistically the African American culture, but not necessarily stereotyping everyone. But in my generation and the generation before me, they didn't talk about stuff. So it was really bringing some of that to light. We're looking at this from 2025, but in the 70s, there was a lot of that nonsense happening. and people didn't talk about stuff. You rub some dirt in it and you move on, or you go down a
What's
different
the
path.
old saying? What go on in this house, stay in this house.
There you go. So again, bringing that to the forefront, a lot of generations nowadays don't necessarily realize that. I mean, everything's on the internet. Everybody tells their all their business, but there was times when you didn't have those discussions. Even the generation before mine, in the 40s and 50s, they didn't talk about intimate relationships with their children, and they didn't discuss those things, and they just figured it out, or they was in Vietnam and learned there, that kind of thing. So it was important to be really respectful, but really tell the story as I wanted it to be told, which was everything that needed to be told, whether you agree with it or not.
In this political climate of banning books, um, rewriting history, are you afraid that your books will be banned because you are telling your truth?
No, no. I'm not, because again, one of the things that I learned early on was who's my audience. So I find it a blessing when individuals outside of my close circle of friends, which was my original audience anyway. So it was safe for me to write it and they were going to read it. But anyone outside of that, reading my books and enjoying them and learning from them, or taking something away positively is a bonus for me. It's just a plus. So I didn't go into this to make a lot of money or to be famous or to have everybody in the world read my books. It was really meant for my intimate circle of 20, 10, 15 people. And that's where my satisfaction came from and comes from. So I'm just over the moon and elated when others outside of that circle kind of are drawn to it and take to some of the things and enjoy them. I enjoy the experience that others have from reading and telling me their experience. That's where I get my endorphins from. So that in itself. So no, I'm not concerned about banning and putting things away. That's unfortunate that happens, but I'm not. That doesn't move me.
Okay.
I'm really hoping
And that's
somebody
fair.
picks one up and makes a movie. At least that's what my dad wants to happen.
Well, tell Dad I agree.
Thank you.
Tell Dad I agree.
Thank you.
So, one thing I found out interesting is that you started out writing years before you had children. You journaled and wrote short stories and such. And then after you had your main career and raised your children, you picked it back up and decided to go for it. That is very similar to what I'm doing.
Well, congratulations to you, and that is wonderful.
I'm
It
penning
is
my book now. And
really
yes,
okay. Good for you. Good for
yes.
you.
So I find, can you speak to that, to older women and men who have a passion to write, but they feel like they're too old to do it? Because I mean, both of us are women of particular ages, and without saying our ages, y'all know how old I am. But can you speak to that? Because I just think that you're never too old to do something different.
This is true. I agree 100%. You can always talk yourself out of something, but you really want to talk yourself into something. For me, it was a way of expression. I always wanted to be a published author in high school, but that was not a path that was outlined as something that was going to be a career for me. Not just in my family. That was just not like, what, so it was just a hobby that I just chose to do and shared things. But really, for me, the reason why a person writes really is key. So if you're writing because you want to share your story with others, then just do that. But this, again, for me, it's a little different. Mine was more therapeutic during COVID. And that first book really was a way for me to really express some things that were suppressed over the years and through my life that I felt that that avenue was the best for me in a fictional form to express a lot of emotions and feelings and situations that I had come across through my life without writing a biography. So, I think that if you know ahead of time why you're writing and who you're writing the story for, if it's just for you, then whatever happens after that, and don't let, discouragement or rejection or whatever sway you from doing what it is that you want to do. A lot of individuals have opinions, and you have to be strong in your own confidence about, well, this is the story I want to write. That's why I self-publish, because it's the story I want to write. I don't want anybody telling me, no, you can't put that in there. Don't put that. It's the story I want to tell, how I tell it. I don't have multiple drafts. What you get is what you get. So it just kind of flows out of me that way. And so if a person really wants to do it, no matter what their age, know who your audience is first. Because if your audience is everybody, you're going to be very discouraged very soon. You really need to narrow down, who do you want to read this story, or who do you want to read this poetry, or who do you want, and then keep that as your main focus and regurgitate that kind of over and over in your mind so that you feel satisfied and confident in what you're doing. And some of the greatest authors were older, and that's a good thing. We have the experience, we have the knowledge, we have a life to share, from perspectives that need to be told. So and not to say anything about younger folks and whatnot, but again, that's fine. You've been here for 5 minutes. There's a lot of things that we've experienced that we may want to loop around and have a learning session, a moment of clarity, a moment of truth. So I say just write what you want to write and
I
just
love
do
that.
it.
I love that. Let's see here. Are your reading tastes different from what you write?
A little bit. I found that no one writes the way that I do. And I try not to look at what I read the way that I would write it, which is really hard, which is why I kind of got what the two authors that helped me out in the very beginning. I kind of got kind of a little bit of their confusion in the very beginning, but I I kind of I kind of have a little bit of a contemporary or historical fiction. I do a little contemporary. I don't usually like a lot of romance. Uh, I'm more of an epic person, as you kind of see. That's more drama, more epic. The way that Roots was done, or the way that the Thornbirds was done. Those kind of epic, long periods of time, or long stories telling a period of time and changes that an individual goes through. I like more psychological, but I do a lot of author swaps, to open a little bit of my palette. There's certain things that I don't read, that I'm not interested in, but not necessarily. I try to stick, with things that I can maybe take away something from, as far as a different perspective, or but then I just read for fun too. So
Okay. Um, what do you love and hate about being an author?
what do I love?
And what do you hate about it?
I hate editing. That part I hate. I hate editing. That part is just and formatting. It's just time consuming, and it's a bunch of money, and it's necessary, but I hate that part of it. I'm more of the creative person. I like, when if I dream it, then I write it. It has to come with me or come to me, and then the dialogue is live and Memorex in my head. So the creative part of it, of writing the story, and I don't know, like, the end when I'm at the beginning. I don't know what's going to happen at the end. It actually just happens organically. So that is the fun part for me, the part that I love is really seeing where these individuals that live in my head and heart, where they go and how they get there. That's the fun part.
Do you identify with any of the characters in your books?
Oh yeah.
Which one do you identify with best?
Um, there's pieces of me in every single one.
Okay.
Yeah, there's pieces of me in every single one. I would say uh, this probably is like I said, more my grandparents and not me, and my cousin, the one that made that comment. She's Helene. That's her. But I'm more probably Marie in moments with you and moments of reset, and definitely an element of Kenya and Anya in the Splendor series. So
Okay. Okay. Um, when you first saw your name on the cover of your first published book, you held it in your hand. What was that feeling like?
I cried. I cried. I just was like, I'm such and such years old and I did it. I was just like, wow. And I'm a hard copy person. I don't, I know ebooks is, easier and it's less expensive because my books have pictures on them and stuff. So, but it's what I wanted. I knew it was going to be pricey just because I wanted it to look and feel a certain way. So, my first book is a lot of pages, and it was just beautiful. It was just beautiful to hold in my hand, and I just kind of cradled it. I was like, I did it, and I thank Jehovah, and I just like, thank you for allowing me this gift to do this.
Oh, I love that. I love that. Listen, I love that for you. I wonder how it's gonna be for me. I'm probably gonna pass out, roll down on the ground, and fly down that door 17 times.
There's no other feeling like it. It's kind of like it's kind of like the closest I can say that, at least for me, was when I had my twins, and I couldn't hold them, they were early, but when I saw them and I actually got to touch them and hold them in my arm, that's what the feeling was. It's that euphoria of like, oh wow, I just made this. Look what I did. Look what I did. It was kind of like that. Obviously not the same, but
I can imagine that. I feel that analogy, because when you bring home your baby, you was like, okay, this came out of me,
yeah,
and the book came out of me.
Out of you. It's your baby.
It's your baby. Oh, I love that.
It is your baby. Yeah. And when when you print it, you send it out to the world. It's like sending them off to school. You hope people like it, land on it. They get what you were trying to say or whatever. And when people don't necessarily like it, or they bash it because they're haters or whatever the case may be, it's hurtful, but you keep going.
I love that. Okay. Was it difficult to humanize your characters?
No, absolutely not. No, they're all because I'm about realism, and so they're all. I have to be authentic to me, and a lot of the characters or characteristics of the characters are based on characteristics of people I've either encountered or that I know or that I'm related to or that I've, those kind of things. So no, not at all.
Okay. What makes the ingredients to a good character for you?
For me, it's a thing that I have in some of my books, but they're perfectly flawed.
Okay.
Perfectly flawed. Very, I mean, we're all, most of us are three-dimensional. And so having those elements being described or displayed in action makes them real. If the character isn't real to me, then I wouldn't write it.
Okay. What's one thing that you'll always include in your stories?
Say again.
What's one thing that you will always include in your stories?
Wow. There's quite a few of them, but I will give you one. Uh, a lesson.
Okay.
There's always a learning lesson.
I like that. I like that. Um, because this is some not considered a period piece, but a little bit of a period piece.
Mm.
Was it hard to select character names to fit the times of those of the period in which you were writing? Because
No.
I noticed that in the 20s, 30s, and the 40s they had particular names, and then the 50s, 60s, and 70s they had particular names. Like my mom was born in the 40s, so her name was Barbara. My aunts were born later in the 50s, so they had Sheila and Lisa. When I came along, then it was more so Nicole and Adia. It wasn't something that was an older name. But then my great grandparents' names were very much Chesterline and
Mm.
names like that. So
Understood.
was it difficult to select names to fit into the period in which you were writing?
No, not for me. No. And
But
again,
does that make sense?
yes, it makes
Okay,
perfect sense.
okay.
Yes, no, and again, even though these are not my grandparents' names, I looked holistically at them and their generation. My grandparent was Clinton and Selma, so you know, you were born in the 20s, so it was important to kind of think about that, and it didn't. They just came to me. Sorry, I mean, it wasn't a. I didn't have to put a lot of thought into it. I just, and I couldn't use my cousin's name. I didn't use real names because I didn't have permission from everybody, and they grandma to do stuff. So, but I let her know. I created a character that's based on you, and she picked herself out immediately. I'm Helena. Yep, you are. So so no, and I just it just felt right. If it doesn't feel right to me, then I modify it. But like I said, I usually just write, and it just kind of flows out naturally without a lot of rewriting and things like that. I don't usually do that.
Okay. Um, what are three things that you have to have in order to create?
Uh, Something to drink, usually tea, herbal tea, sometimes wine, sometimes tequila. Um, Quiet. I have to have quiet. Uh, and depending upon the scene that I'm writing or what I'm recalling back to mind, sometimes music.
Okay. Speaking of music, your
Yes.
playlist is fire, girl.
Thank you. Thank you.
I was like, oh, she got all the good old tunes up in here. This is my kind of music right here.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yes,
I
ma'am.
think for most for all of my books except for Moments in Time, there is a playlist, and it's on my website. That I just connected some of the videos from YouTube just so that it's free for everybody. And even though there's references of other music within the story, one of the things that was important to me is again capturing the period of time, the time period, and what was happening, and what was going on, and having a scene without reference to music or art or museum or literature or whatever doesn't feel authentic to me. So, when they're referencing a saying about a song and, dancing at a club or whatever like that, what's playing? Whether I have it on the playlist or not, it's listed there. So that's one of the things I think that a couple of readers have said it's taken them longer to read my stories just because they want to stop and listen to the music that I reference.
Right. That's what I was doing.
Yep. I was like,
Alexa,
wait.
play dance. No, Alexa, turn off. But that's what I was doing.
Yeah, yeah,
Alexa,
yeah,
turn off.
yeah,
My
yeah.
Alexa's so temperamental.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So thank you. I appreciate that. Yeah. And so music is something that I vibe with a lot in many situations. And so, like I said, there's a piece of me in just about every story that I write. So that you get a little bit of that from me. My twins, I have twin sons. They're grown, and they're just like, "Mom, this is you," and "Mom, that's you." I'm like, "You don't know me." Like, "Mom, I know you," because so they know that this is, that's me.
How do they feel about you being a published author now?
Oh, they are so jazzed. They are so jazzed. They were jazzed early on, and but the Splendor series, I actually wrote a character. There's a twin set of twins in there that represents them, and they're just even more excited. They're taking autographs at their job. I'm like, you guys are stupid. You guys are stupid. But they're very happy. They're very, very jazzed, and really more so, they're like, wow, my mom did this. My mom did this. She's, getting ready to retire, and she did this. So that makes me happy. They're very proud, just like my father and my mom are very proud of the fact that I did this. Something I always wanted to do.
Oh my God, I love that. I love that. I love when the family is supportive. A lot of authors don't have that, and for you to have that, that's such a blessing because, ooh,
Not everybody. Not everybody. You got
well,
some
maybe not
haters.
everybody, but I'm talking
Yeah,
about
but the
your
important
kids
people are.
and your parents. That's all they. That's all I
The
was
important
really
people
saying.
are. Yep, the important people are. Yeah, important people are, and really good friends. I have a really good friend circle, so
I
that
love
helps.
that.
Yeah.
I do. I love that. Um, do you read and watch reviews?
Do I what?
Read and watch reviews.
Do I read and watch reviews? Yes, I do. I really try to connect with individuals that have read my stories. Just again, like I said, part of the endorphins is to get their experience. How did you feel about this? Not so much about what my intention was. I want to know how it landed on that person. What did you get from that? How did you feel about this situation? How did you feel about that? So I try to make myself available to anyone that reads anything that I've written, and to have that dialogue, whether it's over the phone or via Zoom or over social media. You know, um, I try to make myself available. Everybody's not doesn't necessarily want to do that, but I do try to do that because, like I said, that anybody outside of my immediate circle is a bonus for me, and that just makes me kick and giggle. So I love that. Whether they liked it or didn't I had a couple of folks, that in my close circle that didn't like certain things, and they made it very clear to me that they didn't like it, but they knew why. I said, well, why not? Tell me why. And they were like, well, I don't like this, but they knew that this was going to happen just because of the way that they knew me, and they didn't like it because how you have a reader that you as a reader want something to happen specifically with characters because you become invested in them. You
Right.
want certain things to happen, and when it doesn't happen, then you're ticked off. So
Right.
that being ticked off about things that happen. Well, I wanted such and such to happen. Well, I'm sorry, that's not your. You write your own book, then But asking them why gives me insight to their perspective, which is I'm all for that. I'm all about hearing other people's perspective. I don't have to agree. I'm not going to rewrite my stuff, but it's interesting to get people to stop and ponder. My stories are not for. I mean, yes, they're entertaining, but they also are very meaty for people to kind of stop and think about, and come back and reflect on things. That to me is a good story. That is something that kind of is lasting, like a really good gumbo. It's lasting. It sticks to your ribs. Um, you know, that's what I feel they are about, and I read them all the time, over and over again. So if I want to read it, I would want other people. Hopefully, other people want to read it. But as
Are
long
you
as I read it, then that's what's important to me.
are you ever like in shock, in awe about this? I really wrote this. Are you ever like, I wrote this? Like,
No,
I know.
no, no, no,
See,
no.
I am. I was like, okay, so
You
I
are.
stopped a few paragraphs of my first of the first chapter, at
Yeah.
least what I think is going to be the first chapter, um, to a few people, and I read it back to myself. I was like, girl, where does your mind come from?
That is a good experience. You need to journal that. That's a good experience to have. You need to capture that one. Yeah.
Oh, because
No,
I
I
feel
don't.
like,
I don't have that. I don't have those kind of ahas or. I again because to me, these characters are real, and so it's like it's being. immersed in their world, in their life, what's happening with them. And so I don't look at it as me writing something. It's just me sharing this snapshot of this other couple or this individual or this other situation, this other country, whatever. So no, I don't have that. Maybe I'm weird.
Okay. I like, okay, but for me, I was like, who are you?
I think this is part of your aha moment. You are writing your first story, and so it is a little shocking, maybe surprising for you to be like, "Wow, that came out of me. That is cool." And I encourage you to journal your feelings as you write this, because I guarantee you, as you continue to write and publish more, you want to go back and reflect on your very first and how you felt and what aha moment you had. So good for you.
I'm gonna take that challenge. I'm gonna take that challenge. We're gonna see how it works out.
Okay.
Okay. What would your readers be shocked to know about you? Because I was shocked when I read your bio.
What were you shocked about?
You were a dancer.
I'm a what?
You're a dancer?
Oh. Really?
Were you a
That's
dancer?
shocking?
I won't say I was shocked, but I was like, she's a dancer?
I would think that this is my I don't want to say side hustle, but this is my hobby. Business, printing, publishing. It's a business, and I have a real job. I mean, I shouldn't say real job, but I have a primary job that's very demanding, and I keep my personal life and my author life separate, or at least I try to. And so I don't do a lot of book signings, and I don't do a lot of that just because I'm not retired from my primary job and I need to keep those things separate. Mm-hmm. But I think I'm really more shy. I think they'd be shocked to know that I'm really more of an introvert. In my older age, I'm more of an introvert, and so I don't necessarily like a lot of social, putting myself out there and doing kind of interview. I mean, this is a big deal. I think you're like the third interview I've ever done. And so, it takes a lot for me to kind of do that, just because I want to make sure that I represent myself really well. But, if somebody connects the dots behind the scenes, it doesn't come back to bite me negatively in the real world of my other job. So that, I think, is probably shocking, because most people have to be out there. They do videos and things and clips of their stuff, and they're out there kind of really pushing the envelope for people to notice them. And I am more behind the scenes mostly.
I think that with age, for me, I became more introverted as well. However, I still have extrovert tendencies.
Okay.
If that makes sense.
Yes.
I still like, I think with age and with life experiences, all somebody can tell me is no. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
No, maybe, no, not right now. No, maybe, no, never. No, maybe, I'm scared to do it. And I think with discernment, with experience, you kind of learn how to navigate those waters a little bit. Mm-hmm. And that comes with, to me, maturity and age.
Yeah.
Because you've lived that life already. I tell people all the time, I've lived a life. Y'all think I have never lived. Honey, I've lived. I've lived a life. Yeah. I wouldn't have grown children if I haven't lived in life.
Right.
I wouldn't, I can afford to be at home all the time because I've been outside already. It's nothing. So, I think that with those factors, even though I'm becoming more introverted, I don't necessarily have to be outside all the time. I don't necessarily have to be in the mix of people. When it's time to be in the mix of people, I can do it. And it doesn't bother me because I'm there. I have, picture in my mind, okay, this is what I need to do. And then when it's over, I go back to my introverted ways.
Yeah, you flex. Yeah, you flex.
So I'm probably am becoming more introverted than extroverted, but I've always been introverted just a little.
Understood.
Yeah.
I think we're the same in that way.
Yeah. And I mean, and I'm not saying that, everybody else, I'm not saying that for the introverts, you have to do that. All I'm saying is if you're introverted, you have to, especially if you want your books to be a little bit successful. Like she's in her career. But if that is your career, you have to know how to talk to your readers. You cannot not talk to your readers.
Right.
You have to know how to invite them in.
Yes, absolutely.
So sometimes you have to tap into that extroverted side so that you can do what you need to do, so that you can go back to your introverted ways and create and do the wonderful things that you do. Okay, let's move on. Which character was hardest to write in any of your books, and which character was the easiest to write?
Oh, that's hard. Let's just stick with Making Fresh Chocolate.
Okay.
The most challenging to write was Kendrick.
Okay.
And
I see why.
You see why. That was most challenging, and the easiest, I would say, to write was Helene.
Okay.
She was easiest to write.
Okay. I had a question and it just escaped me, so I'm just gonna move on to a different question.
The funnest to write? I'll tell you, the funnest to write for me was Philippe. He was the funnest. Really? Oh yeah. Woo! And
why?
He is sexy. Oh girl. Ooh. Anyway. Woo! He just, man.
He was there in your mind. It was like,
oh
yes,
girl. Just a educated man, just tall, and just the way he carries himself, and yeah.
I'm gonna let you have that moment.
Woo! On a chow.
I love it. Yeah. How do you balance your home life and your writing career? Is it easy? Is it hard?
I usually write in the winter, so it's pretty balanced now. I don't, and like I said, I only write when it comes to me. So right now, and I don't read and write or watch, movies or whatever when I'm writing. I don't get influenced by anything that's out there. So right now, I'm not in a mood to write anything. Nothing's come to me. I mean, there's a couple of scenes that I captured, but nothing specific. And so, I'm reading, other people's work and, watching, Italian dramas and, all kind of cool stuff. So I'm kind of in that zone, but when it starts to get, I'm in, Washington. So in Seattle, when it starts to get yucky, which is like right around now, I'll start to hibernate more and make myself a hot toddy and be thinking about maybe more poetry comes out more naturally than a story. But, who knows? But it has to come to me. So.
Oh, okay. So you're on my side of the coast.
I am.
Okay.
Come on up to Seattle. Come on.
But you know what? My mom and my dad used to live there for about a year.
Really?
Yeah, my dad got transferred. He used to drive trucks for a gas company, a gas station company, okay. And he used to deliver the oil. And I think he was over it because he got caught in the snow in this gas truck, and it tipped over.
Oh, goodness.
And he was like, this ain't for me.
You didn't hurt or anything, right?
No,
you didn't get hurt? Oh, good, good. Okay. No.
Everything was safe. He didn't damage the oil, and nothing came out. He's been doing it. He did it for 40 years. So.
Oh, yeah.
I guess he knew what to do, but He was
Mhm.
like, when it's time to transfer back, I'm going back to
Understood. Understood.
but
Understood.
I did. I was there for with my son. I think I was pregnant there, so from 3 months to about 5 months, 6 months, 6 months.
Wow.
I lived in Seattle with my parents, and then that's when they got transferred back.
Okay. Ah, we just missed each other.
Yes, yes, yes. That was back in the 90s.
I was still here.
Okay. All right. So, question: do you need visuals, a working title, a cover to work?
No, I wouldn't say that I need those things. No. Sometimes in the middle of writing, the cover design comes to me as what I want it to look like, and then I go on Fiverr and get my default person that creates them, and we work through navigating of what I like and what I want, and then we get them done. So there's been a couple of times where the cover was already created before the manuscript was done, but I don't need them necessarily. And a title, no, it usually comes as I'm writing the story.
So, like with this particular book, you have pictures at the end of each chapter.
Mm.
Um, did you have those pictures as you were writing? Because it's just a lot of pictures, so you would have to go back and read everything. Did they develop? How was that process? I guess I'm asking.
For making first chocolate, so the title of this particular book came from my first one.
Okay.
And it came from my first one because there was a reference of a scene in the first book in Moments with You.
Hmm.
So, which I don't want to give away. So, I would say that making French chocolate was the first book that I put images in consistently, and so they were images to help the reader picture, find themselves there, uh, imagine. It really was to do that. Moments with You does not have images like that in it at all. So this was the first one when I really tried to creatively aid the reader
Hmm.
in putting themselves in a time and place or space of what it could look like without just words.
Hmm.
And then progressively in the book after this, the bonus one has the same in addition to characters as well as the last book, Moments of Reset, also has both. So it was a creative process of learning. How do I want to help them imagine what the 40s is like, or what these individuals, what they could look like, or what even though it's not the characters, it was just a way to help the reader visualize. And that was something that I just wanted to have in this book, to knowing that I was talking about certain periods of time that everyone wouldn't necessarily grasp, but also foods and things like that. Everybody hasn't been to France, so I wanted to kind of extract pieces of what French culture looks like,
Hmm.
or what his chateau might look like, or something like that. So I really was looking at a visual way to kind of help the reader, and in my mind, I knew what I wanted to what it looked like. And so I found images to support that. But I had written it first and then found the images.
And see, you made me want to go visit France. I had an opportunity to go when I was 16, and I got deathly ill,
Oh no.
and I couldn't go. I couldn't make the trip with my neighbor, and that's the regret of my life. But now that I'm older and I have my own money, I can go. I have my passport, and I really do want to go and visit France and see it in the eyes of someone that really lives there, not from a tourist,
Mm,
perspective.
mm,
But
yeah, it's
that's
pretty
the
long.
goal.
It's pretty awesome.
That's the goal. My little cousin, she got accepted last year, so she's there now, into their art school.
Mm.
So she's there, 18 years old
Wow.
in France, living
Wow.
her best life.
Living her best life. Good for her. Good for her.
um, what's your idea of the great American novel, and do you think you're achieving it?
That's a hard question. I don't know if I have an idea of the great American novel because there's just so many elements to, yeah.
But it's your idea. It's not what the world thinks. It's what you think.
I know there's so many elements going around my
Right.
head. There's so many that I have. I can't necessarily. I don't have the. I don't want to kind of narrow it down just because there's so many things that I enjoy and that I like
Right.
that could encompass that giant book.
Mhm.
Um, and I don't know if I would say I've accomplished that. I think I've accomplished one of them. I mean, I think there could be multiple All American novels, and you know, I'm a culture person. I like food. I like, as you can tell, probably, I like food, and I like different cultures, and I like learning about them, and I like representing them in a very positive way, and
Mhm.
seeing more of the similarities between us versus the differences. But I also like to recognize the differences because some of those things are important to know. And the separation thing that happens with where we live, these kind of pockets of racial separate and political stuff, all of that kind of stuff, it just divides us as people, and we're all human beings. And I'm
Yeah.
more of a person that wants to embrace and respect others, whether they believe the way I believe or view things the way I view them. But I really want to, learn about other people just so that I can be knowledgeable and smart and respect them,
Right.
and hopefully they respect me. And I'm from the old school, as you probably are too, is treat people the way you want to be treated. So that's what I try to live by. And so I don't see a lot of representation of other stories that should be part of the American story. Or they're not necessarily highlighted. The indigenous folks, you have some Asian Americans that were born here that don't necessarily have a voice as well. So I think the challenge is trying to encapsulate all of those stories and crystallize them and make them into one, which is those little, I was saying all those little pieces in my head. It's just all of those, because America is a stew pot. It's not a melting pot because we're not all not blended together, but it's basically a stew pot of, you got onions, you got carrots, you got meat, you got gravy, we're all individuals, but we all make the stew of America. And
Mhm.
so that would be, now see, as I'm talking to you, I'm coming up with my, I'm coming up with it, but that would really be what the All American story would be. It would be a piece of everything and everyone that has helped build America as it is, and not a siloed kind of one sided, one better than the other. No, it's just a piece of what is all contributed, and how did we come to this place that we're in.
And see, I agree with partly of what you're saying, but I feel like the Great American Novel, can incorporate anybody, any culture, as long as you take the soul of the book and you can identify with it, whether they're white, black, purple, yellow,
Mm-hmm.
green.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and it leaves you wanting more.
Mm-hmm.
It leaves you satisfied in the same breath. It
Mm-hmm.
leaves you, um, understanding. It leaves you with empathy. It encapsulates all of the feelings of what that book was supposed to give, whether you are white, black, green, or yellow, or purple. You know
I
what I
agree.
mean?
Yep, I
I
agree.
feel like we are never included in those. We're never always they have to be a particular person to be included
Mm-hmm.
um, in that story. And I
Mm-hmm.
find that with urban fiction, with paranormal, with dystopian, with urban romance, with contemporary romance, there's a little piece in that book that everybody could empathize with.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? I I there are certain authors that I feel like that in my mind that are there. I'm a big fan of Evelyn Latrice. I'm a big fan of Kennedy Ryan. There's another. What is her name? The American Marriage. And I don't see it over there, but she wrote The American Marriage, and that story I feel like anybody in that situation could empathize with, and that's
Mm-hmm.
what I consider a great American novel. Um, and it's not what society deems that it should be.
Mm-hmm.
So that's just my opinion. But who am I?
Well, it's a
Basically,
good one. You are you, and your opinion
right?
it matters. But I
Yeah,
also think too, because of the silos and because of the separation that goes on in this country, it really takes away from individuals really embracing. I'm not a person that likes categories. I don't like genre. I mean, I understand there's a reason for genres and what, kind of give you an idea, but tropes and all that kind of stuff. To me, that takes away from what the story is, and really, um, it keeps separating. It's a novel about such and such. Why does it have to be African American novel or
and it shouldn't, but
it
that's how
shouldn't
they
be.
classify
That's
it.
I get it, but that's the part that I think keeps us still in this rut of not being heard and not being seen and not being um, given the same opportunities as others in this business, which is what it is, and why a lot of African American authors or authors that are minority have to go the indie route, just
Right.
because they're not given the same opportunities, they're not necessarily looked at or picked up, and even when they are, there's someone that doesn't necessarily look like them or have their same background or understanding of background to open the floodgates for those stories to be told. So that's kind of why I'm saying it needs to have a piece of everybody in there. But and because I don't know if those in the mainstream would even look at some of the great work that you were just mentioning that is more holistic that anyone could relate to. And that's unfortunate.
It is, and I feel like um, even though we take the brunt, and I'm when I say we, and I'm speaking to whoever's listening, we as African Americans, we take the brunt of everything. I feel like the disservice is really to who's not reading it because it's so much eloquence in there. Some of it is street, some of it's not. Some of it is whatever it is. Some of it is beautifully written, some of it's poetic, some of it is whatever. But you want to lump us into one, like
Mm.
we're just not intelligent people, and we're some of the smartest people on this earth. And I'm not saying that to brag. I'm saying that you could actually, if you take your mind off of the color of our skin and more so what's in my mind, you might learn something.
Mm. I agree.
But
I
with
agree.
that,
I agree. I agree.
let me
And
get off my
it's
soapbox.
hey, stand on it and preach. But I really think that, you know, again, why do people read? That's one of the things that is kind of flushed out in a scene in one of my recent novel, Moments, no, The Splendor of Us. Why do people read, and who, money is green. It don't matter where it comes from, but why do people read? Are they reading to escape? Are they reading to, learn? Are they, what is the reason why they're reading? And then what do they read? And as you said earlier, when we first started, open your mind just a little bit to expand just a tad. Don't go completely left, but maybe teeter a little bit, just because you really miss out on so much. I did a swap with an author, and she got this book, and I got one of her books, and she is an urban fiction writer, and I don't necessarily read urban fiction just because it's not where I come from. It's not authentic to me, so I don't necessarily come from that. And when I say urban fiction, it was really a street book. It was a street book. And so it was hard for me to read, but I made the commitment to read it because she read mine, and I was just like, okay. And so she and I had a conversation, and I was like, you know what? I got what you were trying to say, and I got the story of this woman. And I appreciate that you had this perspective, and that I don't have. I don't know no hookers, and I don't know drug dealers, but there's people out there. I know they're there. So this is a story that you wanted to tell, and I respect that you told it, and I appreciate you did, and I thought you did a good job in telling it, because I was scared. So I get that, but why a person reads is really important, because there was a time when we weren't allowed to read. It blows my mind. Like, hello. And so when someone said to me, you know what, I really tried to read such and such, and I couldn't really get in. It's not the kind of book. And I was just like, hey, cool. I appreciate you trying. I really do appreciate you trying. And I mean that. It's not for everybody. I know my stories are not for everybody, and that's okay. And I am totally okay with that. You ain't gonna hurt my feelings as long as you tried. Because, in a couple of years, you might be in a mood and you might pick it up again. And, who knows? But there was a time when we weren't allowed to read. And if you just want to stay in a world, in the world of wherever you are, whether it's romance, whether it's fiction, whether it's paranormal, if you just want to stay there, then how are you broadening your horizons? If you only, I don't like to read textbooks either, but if there's a teaching moment somewhere in some entertainment that I can get, then I've learned something. But that's why I don't market my books as, well, I don't market them at all, but market them as, interracial or multicultural, or just because they are, but they're people. Because Philippe could be black, technically.
He could.
He really could. Frenchman. He could, because you got black French. Thank you. So it doesn't really matter, but the fact that I can write and represent another culture that's not mine in a very respectful, honorable way, that is what I've been told is unique. And so I'm like, well, that is a gift that didn't come from me. That's a gift that came from above. So I appreciate that I have that gift to do that.
I love that. I love that. Okay. Let me ask you this question. If you can describe yourself in one word, what would it be?
Myself or my writing as an author?
Yourself. Just so that people can know who they're talking to. I have a word.
You have a word for you?
For you.
Okay, then you tell me the word. Because I have a word for me as an author, but not as me for me.
Nope. I'll tell you after.
Okay, so I'm just going to give you the word that I have for me as an author.
Okay.
Profound.
I'm going to say all-encompassing.
Oh, okay.
I like that.
That's a good word. Yeah, that's a good word. Thank you.
Yes.
I like that. All-encompassing. Nicole said,
yes, all-encompassing. Name something that everybody loves but you hate. It doesn't have to be book reference.
That everybody loves that I hate?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, there's so many. I'm just going to say tropes.
Okay.
I hate that. I just that it's like stealing it's like Cliff Notes for the book. Like,
Also, like saying, "Oh, this you putting in the trope. This is a kidnapping. This is a."
yes, I was like, well, why are you reading it? That's just I hate that. I just so I'm like, come on, isn't the reader supposed to be like, oh, what? I mean, a lot, and as you found, you find out things as perhaps the characters finding out. So to me, that's part of the journey of reading.
So, do you believe in trigger warning?
I believe in saying yes. I did do that. But I also believe in doing it tastefully without giving things away. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
So yeah. Yeah.
Um,
Because I think we just give people too much. We give them too much, and I and if it's triggering for somebody, then they'll stop. But I mean, tell me if it's if it's spiritistic or something, because I'm not gonna read that. You're talking about vampires and stuff. I'm not gonna read that. So just let me know if I know that up front, then that's not something I'm interested in. Other people might be interested. I'm just not interested in that. But if you're saying you're dealing with psychological trauma, or you're dealing with physical trauma or abuse or something like that's a key enough for me to know that's in this book. I don't need to know exactly what it is. You know what I'm saying? And that's just me. I think people really, we're in a society where people want to know everything up front before they dive in, and that takes away from the journey of the story.
I agree, because I often skip the trigger warnings. I often skip the author notes, and I've been told, "Oh, go back and read the author note," because I'll skip it because I want to get to the story, get to the meat of the story, and if it's something that's going to trigger me, I then decide, do I want to go through with it or not? But that's Nicole. That's not what everybody's not me. But I'm old school. I've been reading since the beginning of the time when dirt was created. So, I've been reading a long time. So a lot of the younger girls, they want stuff up front. I call it the microwave society. They want stuff quick and right now. I'm of a time where there were no tropes. There were no tropes. There were no, well, if they were, I didn't know what they were. I'm from a time where there were no trigger warnings. It was the story was what it was. No matter how gritty it was, no matter how crazy it was what it was. Either you chose to finish reading it or not. More than likely, I chose to finish reading it. There's just, if I know that it's incest and I come upon it, then I'm just gonna put the book down. I don't have a problem with DNFing. But I also I don't broadcast it live for the world to know. I DNF this book because it had somebody else might be able to do that.
See, now you're hitting on something I hate that people do. That's that right there. If you didn't like something, then you don't need to tell everybody that you didn't like it. You just don't leave a review. Just don't, you may want to send a side DM or something to the author and say, I didn't necessarily finish your book, or I didn't like it, or whatever. But why broadcast what you like and what you don't like? That's you. That's your opinion. And so I find that discouraging to the hard work that it takes to really put yourself out there and put pen to paper and really write something and go through the expense of publishing, all of that. It's a lot. It is a lot. And to discredit someone by
that pisses me off.
It's heart wrenching. It's not very nice.
Yeah, but I think again, people look for that clickable, that viral moment. If I say this is gonna piss people off, and then they'll come watch my videos. I'm not going to take any book recommendations from you at all. So while you have that viral moment, I might have saw that one video, but again, I blocked you too.
Ooh.
Because I don't do negativity like that.
Yeah.
I've done 2 negative book reviews and it did not feel good to me. It just did not feel good. So I won't. I don't do negative book reviews. I don't. If I feel like it's something, if it's constructive criticism that I feel like the author can benefit from, I then send them a DM, say, hey, and if and I have to be comfortable doing it, I'll say, hey, I I have some constructive criticism. Are you okay with receiving it? I just don't automatically think that you want to receive this information. So I ask. And if you say yes, and I'll say, okay, this timeline does not meet with this timeline, or I quite didn't understand this. Can you explain this to me? Or I felt like there might have been a plot hole going forward. You might want to pay attention to this. And you send that to the author privately so that they can work on their craft. That's how they learn.
That's how we learn. Yes, absolutely. And I've been fortunate not to have those type of any type of negative review like that or anything like that. But again, the couple folks that did indicate to me directly, oh, I can't, and I was like, hey, okay, and I asked for, well, is there something? Why? Can you let me know why you couldn't finish or continue on? You're only like 100 pages in, make your first chocolate. Is there a reason why you couldn't? And they weren't able to, or they didn't feel comfortable, or for whatever reason they didn't say. So that just kind of left me hanging as to, well, what about it? Did they not? I don't get it. So I just was like, oh well, maybe they'll pick it up another time. Maybe they're a mood reader and they weren't in the mood. I don't know, but I would want to know personally, what about it? It doesn't mean that you're offending me, but I'm open to what someone's perspective about their experience. And I have been very fortunate to have those that have enjoyed my books, enjoyed my stories, to really, like I said, open up and share with me with dialogue about, okay, this I like, and what happened, but kind of like what you was with Kendrick, what is the deal, and how come, and blah, blah, blah. And I do get the question a lot about what's real, what's not. And some things I share and some things I won't, just because I like to keep some things private. But right. I live for that. That's what I enjoy. And to me, that's private, really, too. Because someone's review is really their experience. And a lot of people don't necessarily want to share that out with the world. And they'll put something on Goodreads, which I appreciate. But they will share with the author directly, a little more personal. And then you can ask them questions. What do you think about this? What do you think about that? Oh, you know what? And that is where, like I said, I get my endorphins from. That's what I enjoy. So I think that's something that you may want to, as you finish and complete your novel, that you think about and consider doing as well. Making yourself available to folks to kind of tell you directly, not just with the beta readers as you're doing your testing and that kind of thing, but really just once you get it out there and hey, I'm open to da-da-da, or do a forum, a platform where you're having like
I don't mind doing like a Q&A, but what I'm not going to do is slander.
Oh yeah.
Y'all see my face? Y'all know I got my glasses on. I'm not gonna do it.
Yeah, no, we're not.
That's the easiest way to get cussed out.
Yeah.
Brand or no brand. Yeah. But I don't mind constructive criticism. I don't mind that at all. I don't mind that you didn't like it. Okay, you just didn't like it. But what I do mind is when you slander. Because that's not what you like. You know what I mean? Okay.
Yeah. Or you're slandering, as you said, to get views.
It's above me once I release it. There's nothing more that I'm going to do with it because it's released to the world.
Yeah.
It's with God.
Yeah. It's out there. It sure is.
And if you like it, you like it. If you don't, you don't. I know it's not going to be for everybody.
Right. I know that. Someone asked me before, because when I first started, I had I had my first book, Moments with You, on Amazon. And again, learning, you fumble, whatever. And one of the things I learned about, or can you say this on? Sorry, I didn't mean to say that word. when I had my book there, one of the things about that platform is that they give like a free sample based on how large the book is. So you get like a free like sneak peek. And they were giving away like some in the beginning of that. There's like some really important things happening, and it was giving it away for free. And you know, some folks kind of found out from my real life that it was me or whatever, that this is my pen name or whatever. And they went and told a bunch of people. And so I pulled it from there. And which is why, the ones I had printed is all that my dad has. And when the inventory is gone, it's gone. So I'm like, I'm not printing any more of that. It's special order. When that inventory's gone, Dad, he kind of manages the inventory. Then that's it. Because it turned into a big mess of, oh, there's sex in it, there's cussing, and I was just like, and so someone said, hey, well, if you rewrite it, as a Christian woman, you may want to not, say, and I'm just like, okay, we all got here, and it's not an erotic book. It's not, them 5 or 6 scenes in this 700-page book is not the gist of the story. But I'm not about to rewrite that. I've passed that. It's already out there. It's 2023. I'm not rewriting nothing, So I made the decision myself to just not have it published and not have it printed anymore, and not to have it out there. And I don't use that platform, and have a special order for those who want. And then once that's gone, that's gone. And that was my
your voice, which is amazing to me. Why stifle? Oh, girl, you about to get me all upset. No, not you. I hate when people try and stifle your voice because it's not their voice. Your voice is your voice. Your voice is unique. Your voice is what it is supposed to be. So you talk about whatever it is this book is supposed to be. If that means I'm going to say excuse my language, I'm fucking, then that's what you're saying. You know what I'm saying? I'm not trying to upset anybody, but your voice is intended for what it was supposed to be. I hate when people do that, because then how am I supposed to stand out as an individual if I can't say what I need to say, how I need to say it? Now, you might be a little bit more poetic in saying that word. I'm going to say what I'm going to say. And it may not be that particular word, but it's going to imply that. My dad asked me, he said, what are you writing? So I told him. And I said, respectfully, this is not a book that you're going to be able to read. So he goes, well, why? I said, because it has a lot of sex in it. It has sex in it, and it got a lot of unalivings in it. And he goes, so that's what it's about? I said, no, but that's the result of actions that were taken because of things that were happening in the book. That's not what it's about, but that's his response. Or that's how they create their child. So this is what we're talking about. And he goes, okay, I can respect that. He never once said, well, don't say that, the family is going to be okay. If they wrote a book and they want it to be their way, then they need to write their own story. This is mine.
That's right. I'm with you on that one. And what was interesting is, my mother and my father, they were one of the first people to read my, and they, of course my mom was like, girl, as she's reading, but if I wasn't ashamed to let my own mother read it, my own father read it, then it was not
ashamed for the world to read it.
Well, and again, it taught me a very valuable lesson as a writer, that like in this particular book, I didn't necessarily have to describe so much, because my first book is very, very descriptive. But again, it was my first out there, and that was how I felt, and it was like wordy because that was me at the time. And I'm very proud of that book, and I'm very proud of that story. And I'm not, I chose to do that as my own, because again, my purpose was not, I want the world to recognize me and hear my voice. That wasn't the intention. If that happens, great. but that wasn't the intention. I am satisfied with being a published author that's won quite a few awards for some of my books, from my stories. That tells me, for me, that I'm a published author and I know how to write and I know how to tell a good story. That's good enough for me.
And as the young people say, clock that too. Being on this internet, they teach you a whole bunch of stuff. Clock that tea. Clock
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
Look, she clocking her tea too. So yeah. So I mean, but again, my aunt, she said, she's an English teacher. She says, I don't mind proofing your book if you want me to. I was like, Auntie, I don't know if this is the book for you to proof. Mm-hmm. And she goes, well, why? I said, because it's a little salacious. And she says, enough said. Because I know that's not her thing. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. But her daughter, so well, I'll do it. Because that's her thing.
Yeah.
And they're comfortable in that. So
yeah.
People stop. I know that when you're reading books, you get invested. And the ending may not be what you wanted it to be because you thought it was going to end somewhere different. Mm-hmm. The story is the story. Mm-hmm. And you guys have to be okay with the story or not, or DNF it. Mm-hmm. Anyway, let's move on. Got a couple more questions and then we're going to pop your shh.
Okay.
Okay. My favorite questions. If you can induct 3 authors into the Author Hall of Fame, who would they be?
Me.
Okay. And I second that.
Oh, you're sweet.
And they don't have to be African American. They can be whatever. Whoever.
I like Monica Cox.
Okay.
Oh my goodness. Octavia Butler.
Okay. If you can invite 5 authors, writers to dinner, dead or alive, who would they be?
Octavia Butler, Toni Morrison, Maya Angelou, Jane Austen.
You got very good.
And Shakespeare.
Why Shakespeare?
Ooh, I like me some Shakespeare. Oh yeah.
I could not understand it in high school, but as an adult, I got it. Mm-hmm. It took me years to understand Shakespeare.
Yeah. It's an art to it, but it's beautiful. Beautiful writer.
Also, like with period pieces, it took me years to understand classical music and to appreciate it. It took me, jazz not so much. I like more contemporary jazz versus, the yodeling and all that. That'd be too much for me.
Did you say yodeling? Oh my god!
Oh my god! I saw Rochelle Farrell some years ago, and she started off strong, and then she got to yodeling, and they use their voice as an instrument. It just got too much, and I was like, okay. But the concert part, the singing part was fantastic. Because, I love that she can sing from high soprano to low baritone. She has a range. So, yeah.
Understood. Yeah. I'm a classical person, ballet, all of those, yeah. So.
But I didn't understand ballet until Abilene.
Oh, okay. Do you do opera? No.
I do now.
Oh, love me some opera.
I do now. I'm a musical kind of girl. I prefer the soulful stuff. I'm not really my mom took me when we were young to see the gospel play, Your Arms Are Too Strong, your arms are too short to box with God. My dad I might have been 7 or 8 took me to see um, The Wiz.
Okay. Okay.
I've seen Dreamgirls with Jennifer Holliday.
Okay.
So my mom, I feel like my mom and my dad introduced me to cultural arts
Musical.
at a very young age.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So I don't, not necessarily the opera, but my girlfriends and I, we go see the Nutcracker.
Mm.
Not every year, but it maybe every other year.
Mm-hmm.
If it's something going on in San Francisco, we will catch it. The Lion King.
Mm-hmm.
Um, what was it that last one that we saw in Atlanta? Oh God, what was it? The old age is catching up. What was it with? It was very popular. Where he was a sergeant, and it was back in the 1800s or so. Oh God.
Eighteen
Anyway,
hundred.
huh?
1800.
Hamilton. Hamilton.
Hamilton. Oh yeah, yeah. Okay, that was good.
So I saw that, and I try and catch something every year. I'm not so much with the Tyler Perry plays, and I mean every now and then if it's
Mm-hmm.
something I'm trying to do, but
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. Uh, I I think the very first opera I saw was Madame Butterfly, and I think maybe it was 12. I've been to New York to see, a couple of things, some musicals, but I also enjoy Italian opera. Rigoletto is one of my favorites, but yeah, I'm into the arts as well.
my goal is to get to New York. I've got to. I've never been to New York, and I want to see a
What?
Broadway play. Never.
Oh,
I've been
wow.
all across this United States, but I've never been to New York. I've
You
never been to
definitely have to
DC.
go.
I've never been to New York.
Oh, yeah, you gotta go.
And I want to get to Broadway.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And the Smithsonian before they close it down.
Hurry up and get there. Hurry up.
Yeah.
Um, last few questions.
Okay.
Fill in the blank. Blank is life, and it can be anything at all.
Love.
Okay. And the last question is, my pen is fill in the sentence. Complete the sentence.
My pen is my sword.
Love it. I love it. Slaying people everywhere they go. All right, so let's get ready to pop your shh. Do you have any projects coming out?
Right now, I do not. I published earlier this year the Splendor series, and so those are a special edition for exclusive readers to special order. So I'm just doing that, marketing that for those folks that have read some, if not all, of the Moments collection.
Mm-hmm.
And again, it's because it's more personal to me, and if you don't know my style, then and you don't like it, then it wouldn't necessarily be something that you would be reading. So, um, but I am looking at what the winter holds. I had a couple of poems that I have written already. Again, it has to come to me. So I'm not necessarily on a time schedule or deadline. So right now, nope, I'm just reading, and we'll see when it starts to rain. I'm sure something will come to me.
All right, and where can people find you?
They can find me on TikTok here as Ocean Waters. You can find me on Facebook as Ocean Waters and on Instagram as Ocean Waters, and my website, www.oceanwaters.com.
All right, and any other advice that you want to give before I pop my shh?
write what you want to write. You know, don't let other people influence you or sway you or discourage you. If it's the story that you want to go a certain way or a path or characters that you want to write what you want to write, because then you are authentic to yourself and is your integrity on the line, and you can hold a candle to your own self. If you let people morph it or modify it or twist it, then it's no longer you. It's no longer yours, and then it will feel plastic. And you want real fruit, you know. So
And there you have it, Miss Shan Waters. Thank you so much.
thank you.
I
Thank you for having
appreciate
me.
you.
I enjoyed it. Thank you.
So let me tell you guys where I'm going to be within a few announcements. As you guys may have seen, I am canceling the Napa Book and Wine Tour because of the political climate, things that are going on in the world. I just feel like the prices have doubled. Every time I call back, the prices have increased. I don't think it would be fair to grape you, as you guys understand what I mean, of prices just to say that you guys came to my area. So until the economy stabilizes, I think I'm gonna postpone until then. Not to say that I'll never do it, but for right now, the event is gonna be canceled. So sorry about that, but I can't consciously, fiscally be responsible for people who may want to come or not come. So sorry. Um, but that doesn't mean to say that it's never going to happen. It's just not going to happen right now. Um, the second thing is events that I'm going to be at. Okay. So I'm going to be Boozy Book Tour in 2 weeks. Okay. So Boozy Book Tour Chicago. I'm on my way to Chicago. I'm going to be podcasting live there. We have one of the authors that's going to be there, author Latoya Nicole. She's going to be there. I'll be talking to her live and in person. I think, I don't remember if Shannon is still in here. It's like 30 authors, and I will be talking to all 30 authors if they will have me. So Boozy Book Tour October. Why do I have this in November? Hold on a second. It's October 17th through the 19th. Okay. Is it 17th and the 18th? Because we're going to brunch on the 19th, right, Shannon? So that's one of the coordinators of the Boozy Book Tour. So super duper excited. Yes, 35 authors. So we'll be there having a time. I will be Nicole during the interviews. And after that, my alter ego comes out and I will be tearing Chicago up. Or try, who gonna take Chicago down? Me, or is he gonna take me down? Probably gonna take me down, but I'm gonna have a time. So after that, we have I'll be in Las Vegas, the Boozy Book Tour at the Melanin Bar, Las Vegas, the Pajama Jam. So that is February. Hold on, I have it here. February 27th through the 1st of March. Super duper excited about that. I'll be podcasting live there as well. It's Vegas. It's going down. Okay, authors, if you haven't signed up, if they have space, you better hurry up and get done before they close their the tables. Readers, it's Vegas. We're gonna be in our pajamas. They got lots of activities for us. It's going to be a time. Super duper excited about that. March, not March, April. April 17th and 18th, I'll be hosting the Cali Author and was it Cali Author Book and Author Takeover, something like that. I'm sorry, I'm gonna write it down, but it's presented by author Shelley P. I will be there in attendance. Okay, I'll be hosting, so I'll be hosting. I don't know how that's gonna be for everybody. I don't know. I don't know, but we're gonna have a good time. I don't know. Hopefully I have a voice, but we'll have game night. I will be hosting that. I know that there will be food involved. A time will be had. So who's gonna host, me or Shakalajra? I don't know. Shakalajra might come out of me. Who knows? But Shakalajra will have you having a good time. So just know that. All right. So those are three events that are coming up in the next quarter of early next year. There are other events that I will be attending as well, but those are confirmed right now. Let's see. Next week on the Booked and Busy podcast, we have author Lakeisha, and that's on Saturday the 11th, 10 a.m. Pacific Standard Time, 12 p.m. Central Standard Time, 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Then we have on Sunday, we have the incomparable A. Lewis. Listen, if y'all know Bray is coming up, so she's gonna tell you everything you need to know about Bray. So authors, if you haven't signed up, I don't know when the end date is, get to signing up, because I'm trying to tell you, the exposure that you get from Bray is wonderful. It's wonderful. It's a beautiful event for Black readers. You know, you get all these books, you're introduced to a lot of books, and then you get introduced to some of the catalogs. So if you're looking for new authors, look at Bray. I promise you, a time will be had. And then we'll be also talking about The Whistler. Okay? That's my next book. We'll be talking about The Whistler, as she just released The Whistler. So that's next weekend. Then the following weekend, I'm in Chicago. So there will not be any, you'll see some live footage of the event, but it won't be one particular author. So other than that, that's all I got. I want to thank you so much for being so gracious and talking with me. I really enjoyed this conversation. I feel like we are, just because we two different people, we have a lot of the same ideologies, and it's refreshing to hear somebody of my age who understands what I be talking about. Because sometimes y'all young folks don't be knowing what I be talking about.
I got you, Sid. I got you.
So
I am planning to join as a reader in Las Vegas. So hopefully, if things work out, I might just come and hang out.
I'm trying to tell you, a time will be had. We're gonna have so much fun. It's so many things planned, and the care and the energy and the creativeness of this event is like no other book event that you have experienced. So, what I do love the most is they make sure that you're not overstimulated. When you become overstimulated, they are very concerned. The creators of the coordinators of this thing, and they make sure that you have space to collect yourselves, and then come on back to the event when you know you're good. I love that. You know, you're not overloaded with books. You're not overwhelmed. It's, you take your time. So y'all make sure y'all come on the come. I love that. And thank y'all for joining me today. See you guys next week.
All right. Have a great night.
I'm gonna finish this book today. Let me put the playlist down, because that playlist had me.
and reach out, girl. We talk offline when you're done.
Most definitely, because I got questions.
Okay.
I got questions.
All right.
All right, y'all. Y'all have a good day. Happy reading.